So what I want to show you guys is that all of this wood in here is considered quarter inch. From this 0.23 to this 0.23 MDF core. I know for a fact this takes 120 full power 3 passes to do the job. I don't recall what this is. It's got many layers though. It's also 0.23. We've got Home Depot whiteboard. I can't cut this anymore, not reasonably. We've got Columbia Forest products. That's a popular one. I'm not sure if this is the same stuff or not. It's got kind of a light feel. Feels like it might be. This is 0.19 oak. I believe it cut okay. I'm not a fan of the texture of it. But we're gonna go set up a cut, and I'm gonna tell it to focus. Set the focus height at what all of these things are. These are all flat pieces, so they're not bowed or anything. It's not going to be like, oh, but you didn't have it pinned down. It's all flat stuff, and so we're going to go use the same cut setting, but we're going to set the material thickness the same on each, or accurately to each, and show that there is no master setting that you can say, hey, what do you cut quarter inch wood at? And that really the solution is to pick your material like this and do a test and another test and another test until you figure out what speed and power and maybe passes it takes to cut this, and then make a preset of your own for that, and then do the same thing for this. I already have presets for almost everything here, but let's just go show you how it works. Alright, so here we are in the Glowforge UI, and we have a couple different kinds of materials, so it's not going to be a perfect test, but you're going to get the point. So this is an MDF core, so I'm going to come over here and let's go with, well, let's see. I don't want to pick, well, yeah, let's go pick a Proofgrade setting. Right, so let's go with thick draftboard first. Right, that's going to be our MDF. And oh, I need to grab a shape. So let's grab a snowflake. I like them because they are more detailed than like a square or a circle. Oftentimes they'll have a square cut out where a snowflake isn't going to. It's going to show you problems. So for this test, I'm going to do like, I don't know, 1-inch snowflakes. Maybe that'll let me do a couple tests on each piece, depending. But all right, so a Proofgrade cut for thick draftboard is 125 full 1 pass. So let's just do that. 125 full 1 pass, and we're going to auto focus. You know, this isn't really going to work that great because our focus here is going to be different than our focus here. So I'm going to go back to our thick draftboard Proofgrade cut. We're going to do that one that way, and this one here. Let's do another snowflake. Because this stuff here is also basically MDF. So, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a couple of cuts, and then we'll jump to the end out there to show you the results of what happened. So, again, we're going to go for a Proofgrade cut. On these two, medium draftboard, and let's go see what happens. And then I'll just cut back and forth a little bit. And then I'll show you the proper way to figure out what your settings are for a specific piece of wood. This is going to be like a 30-second cut. All right, you just saw the camera, it just focused. And 54 seconds. So I'm going to stop the video here and then go look at the results. We're going to go cut it. Here we are with the media, or the thick draft board Proofgrade cut on 0.23 MDF core and 0.18 Home Depot whiteboard blackboard. Okay, so that's basically medium draft board, right? So these should both be totally cut out. Nothing. Nothing. But it's medium draft board, right? That's what the Proofgrade setting said. That's what I used. Alright, so next we're going to move on to another cut, probably for these three, and we're going to say like a thick maple plywood. Let's go set that up. And we are back, and that was a failure. We're going to go change our material now to a thick maple plywood. Thick maple plywood. We're going to do a Proofgrade cut both times. We're going to do one of those here, one of those here, and this, I mean, the core is basically the same. Maple, walnut, cherry. It's so thin, it doesn't really matter. So let's grab one more of these and we'll set it up over here on the oak. Wants to be an engrave, but there, now we got a cut. So we got 3 Proofgrade cuts, all 0.19 materials. I'm going to go ahead and actually set focus as well. And we're going to go check how these cuts work. All right, we're back. We're doing the thick maple plywood setting. All 3 samples here are 0.19. 2 maples and an oak, but like I said, it should all be the same. So now I suspect one or more of these is going to work, but I do not expect all 3 of them to work. So we'll come back in a second as it's done. All right, let's see what happened. So I think this is Columbia Forest. Look at that. That's beautiful. This is Columbia Forest, so it should be the same. Yeah, I'd call that success. How about our oak? Yeah, I think that works. So what you would do at this point for these materials, you could either be happy with that result and just make a note to yourself on a cheat sheet that your Columbia Forest products, maple plywood, and your Lowe's oak, that's also 0.19, cut fine with the thick maple plywood setting, Proofgrade setting. Or you could tweak further and decide, well, okay, what was that? That was 140 full maybe. Can I do it at 150 full? Maybe I'll get less charring if I go a little bit faster. Or you can just call well enough good alone. All right, so let's try this guy. I don't know what it is, so I'm gonna set this guy up. It's dense, so I'm gonna do something like a manual 120 full one pass, which you would think surely that's gonna do it, but let's go find out. And we are back, and all of those worked, and let's just see what was our setting for that. So thick maple plywood Proofgrade cut is, yeah, it's 150 full and one pass, so that's good to know. Let's try this stuff. I don't even know what you would choose as a Proofgrade for this, so let's just slow it down. 120 full, autofocus, and we're gonna set focus on it, and we're gonna see it's not gonna cut. I suspect it's gonna be kind of like this guy. In fact, I'm going to set up another one of those, and I'm going to show you what does work, that I know works, because this is also 0.23, so our set focus, that's still going to be accurate as far as this cut goes. Because I don't want somebody to say, well, your focus was wrong. Alright, so I know what that is. So that is a cut of MDF core birch that I got from Hood in Tucson, Arizona. So, and it's also got an autofocus, but 3 passes. So let's go cut those 2 things and see what the result is. Now, our time is going to go way up. If this was a monogram, like a 10 by 10, let's say, on Columbia Forest, that might be like a 15-minute, 16-minute cut. And if I cut that same thing out of this, we're looking at like 45 minutes. So, and the more passes you do, the more chance you have for small details, small text and stuff, just to burn away. So you definitely do not want to do slower passes than you need, and you don't want to do more passes than you need. So anyway, let's go cut this and see what happens. Alright, last 2 cuts of this batch. This is going to be about 2 minutes, so I'm going to jump ahead. Toasty. Good thing it's masked. So remember, this one, we only did 1 pass, because we don't know what it takes to cut this, right? So we're just guessing and testing. Glowforge has asked me not to open my lid until it takes the picture, because they're looking through my logs and they want to see the results of my cuts. So that's why I'm waiting a second. Alright, so 0.23 MDF core, 120 full, 3 passes. Normally works. Not today. Very close. But depending on what you're doing, you might be able to push this out, but you also might snap details off. So, but in this case, I cannot push that through. So, a tried and true tested setting today don't want to work. And just for your information, everything in here is clean except for my glass and my tube. Mirror, lens, all clean. So what were we doing? This one. Not even close. So next we're going to load in something more common than this thick stuff, and we're going to go about trying to figure out, well, how do you determine what speed and power to cut this at? So let me load up something, and it's going to be an MDF core I think MDF core walnut. So let's load that up. Okay, so this time we're going to talk about testing. As you can see, I have been doing a lot of testing. And I think in reality some debugging, because this is a Proofgrade material. This was a Proofgrade cut. Proofgrade cut on medium draftboard is 168 full, 1 pass autofocus. That worked. However, 168 full 0.125 is what this measures at. Did not even make a dent on the back. Nothing. But those were exactly the same settings. So Glowforge is trying to get an answer to me of why that would be. Basically 2 cuts with the exact same settings, only this was set to an autofocus, and this was set to the actual thickness of the material. Both the thickness of the material on the cut and the thickness of the material as far as material type goes. That did not work. And then I see a lot of people saying to set it at half of the thickness of the material for your focus. No, that's not the answer either. So here we got 168 full autofocus, 168 full, set it the actual thickness, and then Proofgrade cut. Again, Proofgrade worked. My 2 manual settings did not work. This one almost worked, but it didn't. I mean, it made a mark, but I can't get that out. So all this to say, I do not recommend Proofgrade settings for non-Proofgrade wood. All Proofgrade is basically a combination of power and speed and focus that Glowforge tested on the material they sell, and they said, this is what works, make this a setting. However, that's not the whole story apparently, and they are still, I'm talking to a senior tech now to try to figure out why 2 identical settings would have such drastically different results. But still, I'm going to show you guys how to figure out what setting you should use on a new material, and then how to save that as your own Proofgrade setting, or I'm sorry, your own manual setting that you can load up next time. So we'll go meet you up at the computer. We are back. So what I have loaded up in the Glowforge right now is an MDF core walnut that is 0.18 thick. So none of this is here. We just got home from the wood store. We have this awesome new beautiful wood. What in the world do I cut it at? How do I know? And I don't want to go to Glowforge World or GUG and say, what can I cut a quarter at? So I got to figure it out. So again, I'm going to come back to our snowflake. I really prefer this shape. This one's a bit faster, but this one really shows the flaw. Let's go a little bit bigger too. So let's start out with, it's an MDF core, so let's tell it that it's a thick draft board. And it's a cut. We're going to set focus on it. Ideally, setting focus right now is going to be bouncing a beam off the wood and figuring out that it's 0.18 thick. We don't have any way of knowing what it measured out at. So let's just go try a thick draftboard proof grade cut and see what happens. We're back. Thick draftboard proof grade material setting and proof grade cut for the same. Catch you in a minute and a half. Alright. Let's see how it did. Well, it didn't fall out. And we're close, but no cigar. Alright. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go set up several cuts all at the same time, so we don't have to keep coming back and forth. And we're going to figure out different speed and power settings and mark what they are, and then when they're done, we'll know what it was at, and then we can save that out. So back to the computer. So we are back, and that was close. What we should do is just slow it down a little bit. So let's look at what we were dealing with first. Wow, 125 full is thick draftboard. I don't want to slow it down, really. I mean, okay. Let's set up this guy as a cut. Let's go 120 full. And you know what? Let me see if I can change this to the actual thickness of the wood. I can. Oh, and it's already there. Awesome. Okay, so we've got 120 at one pass. Every time you open the lid, you want to focus again, whether it's to measure your material or whether that is to fix your camera so you can set your position correctly. So while we're focusing, let's grab another snowflake. I am not copying and pasting the snowflake because doing that will also copy and paste the settings. In fact, let me do that real quick so you can see that we're not going to get another. See, I can't change. Both of these snowflakes are going to use that setting. So if I want to do another one and change the setting, then I'm going to have to add another one in manually. So for speed, let's go ahead and drop this to 1 inch. Drop this to 1 inch. Now the other one was 120 full, one pass that we're testing. So cut. Let's try also like 130 full, but 2 passes. Just so I can keep track of what's going on. Now this, we're just going to do an SD engrave, and this time we can copy and paste because we're not changing our engrave setting for our lettering. In fact, I'm probably just going to score our lettering. I'm going to change what that one was. So that one is 120 full, 1 pass. And let's set that to a score. These are my own settings. As you notice also, I can get a lot closer to the side as a score than I could in engrave. In engrave, I couldn't get over here to the side. All right, so let's do another one, and let's try to push the envelope up a little bit. So this time we're going to go 140 full, 2 passes. Still an inch. Cut. Alright, so now we've got 140 full. Maybe. All right. 140 full. We're just doing 2 passes. And our final one for this test is going to be 150 full. Actually, let's go all the way up. Let's go 160 full, 3 passes. Inch. Cut. $163 passes. You don't have to do this. I'm just lining up all my cuts and then all my scores. No biggie. Now, let's say you went out there and 120 worked, 130 didn't. You could call 120 good, or you could come back and try 125 and just see if you want to dial it in just a little bit more. All right, so let's go out to the Glowforge. Okay, we're not going to record all of these. We'll jump in and out, and then I'll catch you at the end. Our 3 pass is done. Looking a little bit toasty, but it was pretty quick. Now it's doing a 2 pass. This is also where that masking comes in handy. You can usually use a baby wipe or LA Awesome to get your char off, but why bother if you don't have to? And then Lowe's whiteboard, I go back and forth on. It usually will wipe off pretty good. So this depends on how tedious my cut is, whether I want to wipe it off or peel masking. But I probably about 80% of the time I'll just mask it. This is our 120 full 1 pass. I'll let you in on a secret. I have already dialed this material in to 130 full 2 passes. It's odd because the first time I stuck this material in my machine, 140 1 pass worked awesome. One time. So who knows? But we'll see how this turns out here in a second. 120 full 1x, 130 full 2x, 140 full 2x, 160 full 3x. Let's see if any of that was successful. It wasn't that successful because it didn't just stay on the bed when I pulled that up. Let's see. All right, we got a winner. We got a winner here. So 140 full 2 passes worked. So I think I can. I think I said a second ago 130 full because I can bump that up. So 140 full 2 passes, that works. 160 3 passes, that almost worked. But do you want to cut this free? I don't. I can tell you how many times I have spent 45 minutes fixing a cut that I could have finished 5 minutes later with a slower setting. So no. This one looks pretty good. Who's that? That's 130 full 2 passes. I mean, if 140 worked, 130 should have worked. Seems logical. So we have 2 settings that worked and 2 that didn't, and this guy up here at the top, that didn't work at all. Who was that? That was 120. So that was the slowest one pass, but it wasn't enough to get the job done. So these bolts worked. So now I'm going to be the first to tell you that we know that this works. That worked good. I didn't have to free it up. When you transfer that cut into your big cut, sometimes I don't. I mean, in this case, I didn't get anything, but I had one last night where the whole outline worked, and it was one cut, right? But the whole outline cut out perfect, and most of the stuff in the middle was about 95% there. Fortunately, because it was a single shape that cut out from the middle, I was able to flip that one shape over, flip my design over, and do a really fast, low power pickup cut, and everything was fine. But this is your new starting point. So now we'll go into the Glowforge and we will set this up as a preset. Okay, we have good settings. This was not successful. This was not successful. These were both successful, but why would you want to go 130 full when you can go 140 and get it done faster? So, ding ding, we got a winner. So let's take away our text. So this worked. So now what we want to do is we want to hit the plus. We're going to say, this was Wally's plywood store. 0.18 walnut MDF. Alright, so next time I come in here, I go over and I say, okay, I wanna cut this awesome new thing. I put in my plywood from Wally's. What do I cut it at? Well, let's go over to a cut and let's find out. Wally's plywood store. That should work because we already know it did. So you want to be kind of descriptive when you're making your custom presets. You don't want to just say MDF core, 1/4 inch, because you might get that from 10 different stores and they all might be different. It might be different thicknesses. The MDF might be darker or lighter. The wood might be heavier. So be as descriptive as you can, and you'll help yourself out. In fact, I have a Woodworker's Source cherry MDF and walnut MDF, and it's exactly the same. And my settings are exactly the same. In fact, we just figured out we can go a little bit faster with that one. So I've updated it. I'm going to save that. And then our cherry is by the same people. It's the same stuff. And okay, I had already figured that out on that one. So it doesn't hurt anything to have lots of presets. So make your presets, figure out how to cut it, and you will be all set, and you will always know how to figure out what settings to use on what wood. And then the other thing to know is that setting that we just figured out for my Glowforge Basic may not work for your buddy's Glowforge Basic. They might be able to cut it at 150. They might have to go down to 130. So every Glowforge is different, slightly. Maybe their lenses are in worse shape than yours, etc. The cleanness of your air assist will matter, because the air assist is blowing junk out of your cut line. So if your air assist isn't working great, your cut's not going to be as great. So lots of factors. So the point is, what setting should you use? You got to figure it out. And I hope this video was helpful to you guys. If you did find it helpful, liking the video, subscribing to the channel. I hope to put up a lot more quick tips, even shorter videos than this. Preview of the next one is going to be on how to align stuff. A lot of people do not know that you can precisely align things in the interface using this little ruler right here. So we'll just give you a quick sneak peek at next time. So we've got a tomato, we've got a tomato, we've got a tomato. Let's say you want these all to be at the same, let's make it show up. Okay. We all want them to be on the very same line. So we're going to grab this one and put it where we want it. This is your vertical. So I'm going to copy that number. And that is actually the center of that position of where that tomato is at. If we want it all in the same bottom line and these weren't all the same shape, maybe this one's a little bit bigger. Right? So the center of this tomato is going to be in a different spot than that one. Same with this one. So I'm going to grab the bottom center of that tomato is 95.65. I'm going to paste that number right here and right here. So all three tomatoes, different sizes, are on the exact same vertical plane. Let's say that wasn't, I want to put that tomato dead center of this box that I'm going to score. Right? I want this big tomato to be dead center of that. So I'm going to click on it, center of that box. I like to do the vertical position first, and then the horizontal. Bam. Dead center. And I want this little tomato to be dead center of this tomato. So let's grab the height. The horizontal position. Dead center. So I will go into more depth in the next video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks a lot.